Hey murders, before you get into this episode, we wanted to offer a little disclaimer. This is not our usual kind of show. There's a lot more discussion about the science of things, about studies, about evidence. Also, in case you didn't know, we're all siblings, including JT, even though we only adopted him this year. And as such, we do occasionally bicker, argue, and drive each other insane. This is one of those kinds of episodes. We just couldn't make each other understand, and we lost our tempers with each other. I even scream at Cameron. So, with all of that said, we struggled with this episode and whether we should even release it. Ultimately, we've chosen to release it, but if any of what I just described doesn't sound like your cup of tea, feel free to opt out of listening to this episode. We have some amazing episodes coming up after this one that went incredible. Let's just say lessons were learned from this one. So, if you don't like this one, we hope that you give us some grace and keep listening in to future episodes. All best, Mandy.
We are learning that the Earth's electrical energy maintains the order of our own bodily frequencies, just as a conductor controls the coherence and cadence of an orchestra. We are each of us a collection of dynamic electrical circuits in which trillions of cells constantly transmit and receive energy in the course of their programmed biochemical reactions. In developed societies in particular, we have essentially lost our electrical roots. Our bare feet with their rich network of nerve endings rarely touch the ground. We wear insulated synthetic-soled shoes. We sleep on elevated beds made from insulated material. Most of us in the modern industrialized world live disconnected from the Earth's surface. Although it is not something you have probably ever thought about, you may be suffering needlessly because of this disconnect.
Clint Ober is credited with discovering the benefits of grounding the human body and is considered the founder of earthing products. So he created the original grounding products, including earthing mats and grounding beds. This can also be known as ground therapy, which involves connecting the human body to the ground. There is a subculture of people out there in the world who say that earthing can help with sleep and seasonal affective disorder. There are some people who claim that it helps with inflammation and some other autoimmune disorders. So join us as we discuss this concept of earthing, also known as grounding, and tell you a little bit more about what it is. See you after the music.
There is a medicine story that tells of Crow's fascination with her own shadow. She kept looking at it, pecking at it until her shadow woke up and became alive. Then Crow's shadow ate her. Crow is dead now. Join us as we attempt to look through the wandering crow's eye to find the gateway to the supernatural, to seek to know the unknowable mysteries of creation. Welcome to the Wandering Crow podcast.
How familiar are you people with Tesla and his study of free energy?
Slightly, like a little bit.
So
Well, wait. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Wandering Crow.
Oh, yeah, we're doing a podcast. My bad.
Yeah, we gotta do that part. Excuse me. This is Mandy.
This is Cameron.
JT.
And this is Abby.
Died over here.
We're using that. We're using
Totally.
Holy shit.
It's a really good goblin impression there.
I'm going to have to be muted like most of the time.
Did you take a hit that was a little too deep? What the hell?
Oh, I'm just over here coughing.
Oh my god.
No, she's just sick. It's fine.
All right.
I wouldn't mind. Actually, that sounds awesome.
This is Abby.
Yeah. After reading that whole thing and sounding so professional. This is Abby.
Oh, I know.
You
Well,
totally
did
sound like you're
anybody
smoking.
tell that I was struggling with my breathing while I was reading that?
No.
It's so hard not to just
No, that
like
came out of the blue.
take deep gasps while I was reading. Anyway.
Well, welcome to our episode about earthing or grounding. And I just wanted to quickly put this out there. We can be found on Facebook. We can be found on Instagram. We're on Threads. We are on Red Note, though not active very much, but we're there. And did I say everything? You can find us on our website at thewanderingcrow.com. Is that right?
Have we started doing YouTube?
We have not started doing the YouTube yet. I've got kind of busy and I haven't really done any of it. We definitely got to do it though, for sure. And you can find us, you can send us an email at wanderingcrowpodcast@gmail.com. Oh, and speaking of emails, we actually recently discovered that on the website, the email function has not been working correctly. So if you sent an email through the website, it went into the void. We didn't get it. So if you sent us an email and you didn't get a response, that's the reason why. We've since fixed that, so if you do want to try to use the email function through the website, it should work now. So please feel free to resend us your email. We would be delighted to speak with you. Okay, cool. I said the things. Cameron, take it away, friend. I interrupted you. What were you saying about Tesla?
So if you're familiar with Tesla's work and his free energy theory, one of the roadblocks he ran into is, well, funding. Thank you, JP Morgan. But the other issue was he couldn't figure out how to separate the ground energy from the negative ions in the stratosphere. So he would actually actively seek ways to find a way to unground something that's connected to the earth. Something that he can use as like a capacitor that would draw energy from the sky and bring it down to the earth to usable working energy.
That's cool.
And so he would build these big giant towers, usually out of wood, with the metal on top there, but even that can draw energy. So it's kind of gives credence to what the quote said earlier, that we are all just electronic circuitry, even plants. If it's connected to the earth, it can hold a charge that can go up. And so there was an issue, is how do you make something free floating? That was something he kind of started to work on and almost figured out. In fact, there's rumors that he did figure it out, but no working blueprints have really been discovered.
Interesting.
And so the act of ungrounding yourself is actually pretty difficult unless you're in a plane.
Well, to talk about a little bit how we are all circuitry, like, for example, in your heart, the way that your heart actually beats, like there is an electrical firing that has to happen that is then conducted through this bundle of nerves that actually individually sparks the muscle of the heart to contract in a very coordinated way in order to get a good functional heartbeat. The way that that works is like the body physically is shunting negative ions across one side of the cell membrane and then uses those negative ions to perpetrate or like to move the charge along. So then it creates kind of this cascade event, and it uses all of those negative ions that it's pushed on one side of the cell membrane to create that charge that moves. So like it is truly, literally, we are a biological circuit. Like we are in a biological electric circuit, and that's like part of our body. And there's this other concept of free radicals, which are oxygen ions. They're kind of ions that are like unbalanced that move around in our body, and they like shake, and they're constantly shaking, and they're really unsteady, and it can cause actual cell damage, which is why antioxidants, it is an antioxygen type molecule, is so important to the body because it helps reduce those free radicals and that shaking that destabilizes our cells and can cause damage. And I think part of the grounding or earthing concept is to reduce that charge of the negative ions in the body.
Right. I mean, well, I wanted to just go ahead and take what you're saying and take that even to a grander level, right? I mean, you've just named a couple of very specific larger scale electrical systems or processes going on in our bodies, but the reality of the matter is every single chemical reaction on a physiological level, it's all on a subatomic level, it's positive and negative charges, It's all magnetism, polarization, the way things move through our body. It's those negatives and positives, anything being repelled. It's the two positives or the two negatives, like magnets against each other, or any sort of connection. It's all of that, those electrical impulses happening on minutia, firing in every single part of our body at every given moment of the day. And so to me, it makes sense that when we ground and when we do touch the earth with our bare feet, that we are connecting ourselves to a larger electrical system.
Well, I'm torn about it. I made sure to read the pros and the cons, like the arguments for and against. And the fact of the matter is, it is a fact. There is not a lot of research. It's just not been done. There has not been good double blind studies that have been done and can be peer reviewed. Like, there's just not enough of them to do like a meta analysis of all of the different earthing studies out there. There just aren't that many. And the ones that have been done are maybe not necessarily very good quality.
Yeah, even what I'm recommending is kind of just a parallel research into how to harness the energy from the sky.
Oh,
Had
right.
nothing to do with grounding, really.
Yeah.
It just, that was an obstacle they ran into.
I actually wanted to revisit. You had talked to, so your husband, tell everybody a little bit about what your husband does for a living.
My husband is an electrical journeyman. He's been doing that for more than 15 years now.
Yeah, a long time since I've known him.
He's got formal training, went to an apprenticeship program, which included college curriculum alongside his on-the-job experience. That being said, he kind of knows his stuff about currents, at least as far as they are supposed to know for his work. I made sure to pick my husband's brain about it. Just tell me what your unscathed opinion is about the legitimacy of this, or, what do you know? Is it good for you, do you think? And he was talking about how it can and can't be. In terms of his work, it can be worse for you when you're grounded. I mean, that's why they have to wear those specialty rubberized sole boots, because when you're a freestanding agent, the circuit can't complete through you and you are less likely to get electrocuted. But he was talking about that's why birds can land on an electrical line in the sky and not get electrocuted, because they're free agents. They're not grounded to anything. And so they're safe for that reason. He reads these electrical forums and how people will have electricians create grounds that come in to their bedrooms and go up into their beds, so that they, when they're sleeping, or in their office spaces, et cetera, different ways to ground the spaces in their homes. And how many electricians just laugh at people who want this done, because in the event that there's an electrical storm or lightning or whatever, you're just setting yourself up to get electrocuted by grounding yourself 100% of the time. Which was, from his perspective and the safety perspective, there is that to think about.
So maybe only on the first floor. But to the credit of those people and what grounding is, you can weaken the current by being upstairs. That's true. You can weaken the current. You can never make it zero. So these people that are trying to harvest the energy from the sky, lightning, or what makes up lightning, they haven't been able to figure it out because they can't get it efficient enough. But they have been able to do it. They can weaken the grounding effect. So being up on the top floor, maybe that is good for you to have a grounding wire going up, but maybe you should keep it to the first floor.
I have a question about that. So in our society, we've dealt with electricity for a long time now. And if you remember back in the day, in the 70s, 60s, 70s, the plugs only had two plugs. And you could plug in your device incorrectly if you weren't plugging it in. But now our plugs are so specific that your power wire and your neutral, one is bigger than the other, and then you have your grounding wire. And we know that all houses are now grounded through that grounding wire with grounded plugs. Everything has a ground, so that if there is an issue, if there is an energy spike, if there is something that happens, it goes somewhere. So why would somebody need to go and create a specific grounding wire when their home is already grounded? Or does that current that they're looking for not travel through the existing system that already exists? That's just my kind of question, because we all know that outside your house, by your electrical box, you have a wire that goes into the ground for grounding.
Right. Well, that's just all of that is just protecting your electrical system and not necessarily the house itself, right? Because it's not like your walls are charged.
No, just so if you buy these products that these people have and you plug them into a plug, now it's grounded, correct?
You would think
Or
so. You would think so, because
that's looking at some of the websites that I looked at that sell some of these products. That's just what I thought you had to do. You buy the sheets, and it has this cord connected, and you put it into the grounding socket, and you're grounded.
But is that literally what it means in electrical terms? Like, as an electrician, like if we were to ask Steve, what does it actually mean for an electrical circuit to be grounded? What does that mean?
It's connected to the ground.
That's it? That's
seriously, that's what it is. That's what grounding means. It's connected to the ground. So your electrical current goes into the ground.
like literally, it's just like
Literally.
a wire
Yes.
from your house that goes to the ground somewhere.
Right. And the way that the breakers of your house are set up is they can detect that grounding or that spike, and then they can just trip and cut off that power from that circuit so it doesn't do damage. It doesn't do.
Wait, the circuit breaker does what?
Okay,
so like it detects.
So you have your GFI in your bathroom.
Yep.
And if you have too much power being drawn from it at once, or too many things plugged in, it cuts all the power off.
Okay, yeah, got
It
that.
overcharges the circuit breaker, and it actually burns, and then it turns off.
Yeah, so that you're not going to damage your system or start a fire, if you will. I mean, it's
Right.
protection.
Blow a fuse.
Yeah. It used to be that you blew a fuse, but now
And
that.
How is that related to grounding?
Well, because that whole system is connected to the ground by the grounding wire.
And what does the grounding wire do? Why do we do that?
Okay, hold on, guys. Steve is here. I'm not wearing the headphones right now. He is. What are your questions for?
What up, dude?
Hello.
So,
Hey!
so Steve, if you would just give us like an overview of what a grounding wire does and what it's for. So you have your house system, your electrical system, and there's a grounding wire. What does that do?
The grounding wire is just there for like safety. If like as anything that's metal can conduct electricity and you can get shock from it. So you got to make sure everything that's metal in your house is connected to the ground wire. In case a hot wire ever touched metal, it would trip the breaker immediately and turn off. That's basically all the ground wire's for. It doesn't, like, for a circuit to actually work, you don't need a ground wire. You just have your, positive and your negative wire.
So the ground wire is for safety.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is if you've got like a hot wire or like an overcharged system, the excess charge goes through the ground wire and dissipates into the ground. Like, I don't 100% understand what it's actually doing. Like, what is it actually doing?
It doesn't ever really do anything unless there's a short circuit, basically. And then the for like a brief second, the current is going back on the ground wire, goes back. So in your main panel, you have your neutral conductor, and that's bonded with the ground. So it'll go back through the neutral conductor, back to the utility transformer, and then trip the breaker.
Okay. So, okay.
I'm sorry.
A question I had asked JT.
Plus, like, I have to remember everything I learned from school because, I don't really do it.
Right. So, like, if you've got, like, a system that's overloading and it's too much for the system.
Oh, you have an overload. That has nothing to do with the ground wire.
Oh. Yeah. Well, what does the ground wire do? I don't get that part.
It's literally only there for in the odd chance that electricity, if like a hot wire, like your stove, like say your connection starts to heat up and one of the hot wires lands on your stove. Well, if you touch that and the stove wasn't grounded, you could get shocked if you touch the stove in your sink.
Oh.
Okay. So it interrupts the circuit is what the ground does, or does it
It
provide
provides
a
like
place for
a
excess
path for the
energy to
right.
go?
If somebody has a ground circuit, they've got an outlet right next to their bed, and then they've got that grounding wire going up to their bed.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
The difference for they're basically just grounding
A
themselves, I
lightning
guess.
risk. Yeah, if they're grounding themselves, what's the difference between that and having a circuit next to their bed?
So we know that it actually literally does help dissipate excess
Yeah, because it's
electricity
just like
in an
a
electrical
path
system.
back to ground.
It's a safe place for excess electricity to go. So we know that it does do that. And isn't the concept of earthing that we are discharging excessive electrons and electricity into the earth? I was kind of hoping that the ground actually did something different because
I mean, it just,
So I
but
guess
it's
this question comes up because there's people out there that sell products that claim that if you plug it into the wall, now this mat or something that they're touching in their office is connected to the ground because it's connected through that ground wire that goes through the electrical system into the ground. And so they have the same effect as if they're standing outside at bare feet.
right.
Their bare feet touching this mat now is connected to the ground.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
grounded, quote
I
unquote.
don't know.
But you as an electrician, does that make any sense to you?
yeah.
Does that
Because Abby had said something about how like how does a bird not get electrocuted when it sits on a wire? That has something to do with grounding,
It's
right?
just because it's not grounded. It's the same potential as it's just sitting up there up on the wire, energized.
Okay, so the circuit wasn't
Exactly.
completed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen a video of where there's like a flocks of birds on multiple wires. You know, there's like sometimes 3 wires up on a pole, and they'll like
Mhm.
start taking off, and all their wings start touching, and they like explode because they're going from one wire to another, basically.
Ugh. Oh.
But when they're
sad.
singularly on just one wire, they don't get electrocuted, and people can do it too. You see like
Okay.
workers up there, pretty crazy.
I am curious. It sounds like you don't really think earthing is
I don't know.
helpful or
I mean,
beneficial.
perhaps it is. I don't know.
so?
You can just walk
So,
around with your
let me-
shoes
let
off,
me-
right? Isn't that the
Let me
same?
throw this.
Yeah.
Let me throw this
Yeah,
out there.
I think so.
Yeah.
One of the
Tile.
questions was, there's people that have like an extra ground wire installed that goes direct to, say, their office or their bedroom to have one of these products connected directly to a
Right.
grounded wire. If there is like some sort of a lightning strike next to that, does that open them up to becoming electrocuted because that electricity can travel now
Yeah,
through
I
this
think it would be
extra ground
possible.
wire and straight to this mat or bed sheets, if you will? They have bed sheets.
Yeah.
Well, and my question is that worse than having the grounding in their outlet?
Yeah, it would be essentially the same thing.
Like, what's the difference between that and that?
I think it would be basically
Yeah,
the
it
same.
ends up being the
Yeah.
same, right? Yeah, interesting.
That's why, like, sometimes
Okay.
your appliances and stuff can get ruined in lightning strikes, but it's very rare that lightning actually gets so close that it does that. But I think potentially it could. If lightning hit your
Okay.
ground right outside your house for a brief moment, almost everything around is energized. And if you're connected
Could just
to
get
copper
zapped.
wire and you're like standing on it, then I would think that yeah, you could get shocked.
That's why my computer is plugged into a surge protector
Yeah.
to protect it from an electrical surge that could come through and fry all the circuits.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the same thing. If you're connected straight to the ground, you don't have a surge protector. If that hits your body, it's messing up your electrical
Right.
field, and
You are the surge
You are the
So
protector.
probably those products
You are
say
the
like
surge
not to use them in any kind of storms. I'm guessing any of those products.
Yeah.
But there could
Cool.
be something to it, maybe.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you,
Mhm.
Steve. This has been very
Yep,
helpful.
No problem.
Nice talking to you, man.
Thanks,
Take
man.
care, y'all.
Awesome.
Peace out, brother.
Okay, there. Now I don't need to stumble over what I think you said.
Okay.
That
So,
was
but
great.
it kind of does sound like literally what the ground wire does is it sticks into the dirt and it helps absorb excess electrical output.
Yes, actually.
which is that not the exact theory of what grounding and earthing
It's just
is?
like those quack devices that say that they ionize your water, they ionize your air, and all of that. It's the same premise. It's using real science to sell an idea.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's actually good for you,
Right.
that's the part that you also admitted there's no real
Right.
studies for.
The quote unquote pseudoscience.
Well, the other thing that really got to me, because there's a lot of like people who are like, earthing is the stupidest shit I've ever heard of, and here's why. Like, there's a lot of articles about it. One of them was the article is literally called Earthing is a Bunch of Crap, and it's from scienceblogs.com. So obviously he's not biased, right? But he's got like 4 different points. And the 4th point was to me the most interesting one and probably the most relevant one of all of the points. He says, their own safety devices undermine their claims. The literature I looked at reassured potential customers that there was no danger of electrical shock from using their products because the cord used to connect the earthing mats to the ground of your house's electrical system contains a 1000, I don't know, what is that, a sigma? Hertz? I don't know. Resistor as a precaution. It's 100,000 something resistor as a caution. He says that made me bust up laughing. Why? Because the definition of a resistor is that it resists the flow of current, which means it's going to impede the flow of harmful current from a faulty appliance of some sort. True, but it also acts to impede the flow of beneficial electrons from the earth by the exact same amount.
It slows it.
Does it
The
slow it?
resistor slows it. It doesn't stop the same amperage from coming out.
Okay. Because that was his point, was like they're literally saying they're connected to the earth and they've got this flow of electrons, but then their own safety devices impede that flow of electrons. So then how can their devices actually function? It's like this oxymoron.
Might want to ask Steve, but I'm pretty sure that just slows it down. A
Okay.
resistor slows the wave of energy, but if the wave is constant and never ending, it doesn't matter.
Okay, interesting.
So I guess the concept of the health benefit, or this point, and I just kind of looked it up as well, is that it's all about the electrons that come from the Earth, but there's no physiological mechanism by which earthing could provide a health benefit because the electrons from the Earth cannot penetrate the skin and enter the body in significant amounts.
Well, they've also proven that everybody has a different conductive level on their skin. That was proven when they can measure the electrical output on one side of your body versus the other side, and people are different from one person to the next.
Yeah.
It's about moisture, the makeup of your skin. Everybody's skin is different.
So I think maybe we need to take a step back. We didn't ever explain earthing. So in like how people are saying that you do the earthing, right?
Okay.
So grounding is something that has been going on forever and ever and ever. And in fact, one of my favorite meditations, one of the first meditations I ever learned from a Buddhist house, like a Buddhist temple here in Tempe, they taught us how to do a walking meditation. And you get yourself barefoot and you close your eyes and you walk through the soil, and it's amazing. It's one of my most favorite meditations. It feels so good. But earthing is this idea where you connect yourself to the earth and it helps to regulate your system and it regulates the electrons flowing through your body. And they sell specially made products to do that. So they can be like a mat that goes on top of your mattress so that you're literally sleeping on this earthed mattress. There's sheets, there's different kinds of products. JT, what kind of products are even out there? I didn't even really look into that very much.
I saw the sheets, I saw the mats, and I didn't really go much into it more than that. I was just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna have to buy new sheets now, so I can be like, it's like I'm sleeping on the ground. So that's the whole point, is that they're saying that we've gotten away from, in our society now, we've gotten away from being connected to the ground. And I mean, how long have we been not sleeping on the ground? Well, I mean, kings and queens weren't sleeping on the ground. They were sleeping on beds. They were in castles made of stone, but it was made of stone. So is that different than what our houses are made of today? Our houses are made of literal ground up stone, tile, concrete, it's still all connected to the earth, isn't it? It's still, is it
and old wood and
like,
non-conductive
you're
materials.
right, old
Like,
wood and
there's
things like
very
that.
specific cases where like it has to be the concrete and the
The
metal.
rebar,
But even metal comes from the ground.
the soil. Yeah.
Hmm.
So is it,
No, those things will keep you grounded when you're up high.
oh, up high. What I'm saying is are they saying that we have to be physically connected to the dirt to be earthing?
And I do feel like
Yes.
some people do say that because they think it's the minerals. They say that there's minerals that you're not getting, that you're in free contact with when you're gardening, when you're walking around on the earth. I think there's something that's being missed with a lot of these products, that they're just focusing on the electrical field. And I don't think that's really what it's about.
No, and that's actually my counter argument. So, just so that we're clear, some of these people who are selling these products, and they have something that they are selling. So they may be over the top in their claims and say this is going to cure, it's going to reduce your inflammation in your body. It's going to improve your sleep. It's going to reduce your overall stress. It may improve your blood flow, and it's going to help you with faster wound healing. So these are some of the claims that these earthing people are making who are selling you things, right? I personally think it probably has nothing to do with the devices at all, and it's the soil itself. Um, I do think that it's good to get out there and do grounding, do the earthing physically, putting your body physically on the soil. And I have one example of that, and I teach this to our garden club, for our kids' garden club, and I've actually taught it to the adult garden club too. JT, you've heard this before, even if maybe you don't remember. There is a bacteria found in soil called Mycobacterium vaccae, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It's VACCAE. This is a non pathogenic bacteria that lives in soil, water, and mud. And what it does is it actually somehow, some way, when you're doing stuff, you've got the soil on your skin and you're in direct contact with this bacteria, it causes some kind of change in our own body. So I don't know if it releases a chemical. I don't know exactly what the mechanism is that causes this to happen. But when people are interacting with this one specific bacteria, and 1 teaspoon of bacteria has some 5 trillion bacteria organisms in it, right? Like it's one, excuse me, I think it's not actually a teaspoon. 1 tablespoon of soil has more microorganisms in it than the entire human population of the earth, right? Like there's so much in the soil. This one has been proven, there have been good studies on this, to trigger the release of serotonin, which can improve your mood and reduce your anxiety. It helps improve your immune system. It activates the immune system. It can reduce inflammation and reduce stress-induced behavioral disorders. It improves brain function, again, having something to do with the serotonin, which can improve your cognitive function and make it thinking a little bit clearer. It actually has had an impact. They were able to prove that it reduced inflammation and stress in mice. It helped with the learning ability of different rodents. Mice who were injected with it, hello, kitty, showed lower
also helps with
stress
rodents.
levels and navigated a maze twice as fast as the mice who were not injected with this particular bacteria. Cancer patients who were inoculated with it showed improved emotional health, vitality, and cognitive function. So there's a lot of really good studies about this one particular bacteria that does all these magical things to people.
So the two largest creatures on the planet are the species of tree that clones itself and then refuses back together and becomes one being, and then also a mushroom that grows below that same species of tree. The mushroom is a resource manager that actually shares its resources with that tree, water and what have you. It helps garden the tree. It's arguably intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And it will take resources from one area that don't exist in another area, and it will, through its roots, spread it over and share it to the tree's roots. And that's a kind of grounding. And I think mushrooms do that. I think
It's a mycelial network.
Yeah.
and I think that a lot of the same benefits that you hear from that are also people that microdose argue about. So I
Yeah.
wonder if earthing it's about physically being involved with the soil, like whether or not it's If it's just healthier, just to let nature take its course.
Yeah.
In that regard.
And really, we're kind of going to where I wanted to go with this is making a separation of earthing and grounding in the metaphysical sense. Because there's a
Right.
difference in doing yoga and grounding or meditating and grounding. You can go out and meditate on the ground, or you can meditate in your house on your yoga mat, and it's the same thing, because
Same term.
that's grounding. It's a different term than what these earthing, or what they're saying that earthing is. They're saying it's more of, let's get reconnected with the earth, let's get our bodies back in connection with the earth, and here's how you do it all the time by buying our products.
Physically versus the metaphysical side.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they're all important. So, do I think that there is value in connecting with the earth physically and doing earthing physically without the use of a device? Yep, 100%. I have no doubt whatsoever that it is extremely helpful and impactful
And
on a person.
that has been proven through gardening, that gardening improves your mood and improves your it's something that has health benefits, mental benefits to you. And there's studies that have proven that. And that's why people garden, that's why people do that.
Right.
And I kind of am going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here as well, and talk about, we have this gardening and people growing these plants and things that they want to eat. And then we have today's society that we live in that has the food that we eat nowadays, the fast food, the mass production foods that we have. You go to the grocery store and you buy your different things. It's highly processed, and we lose the benefit that was there when the food came out of the ground or came off the plant, or harvested, I guess.
So if I hear you right, you're advocating for a deeper connection to the earth, not just like physically touching it, but also through what you're eating.
Yes.
Yeah. And I agree with that too. I think that's a really big problem that we have, at least in the Western world, probably not in other places where they're still fairly rural. But yeah, so to complete my point, this earthing thing with the electrons and, grounding your electricity, maybe, I don't know. There haven't been sufficient studies for me to really know one way or the other. But it is suspicious to me that the claims made about earthing and what it does for you are the exact same claims that we have already proven are the result of being in contact with soil because of this bacteria, because of the interconnectedness. And for whatever reason, that's just what that soil does, or that bacteria does. And it's just a really very exciting thing. That was my garage.
And that everyone at one time or the other is grounded electrically pretty often.
Yeah,
And so
that's a good point.
I don't think that those devices would really do much except for make it more often. But then what benefit is that?
That is definitely a new thing that I learned today, that we're pretty much basically always grounded all the time already. So that was new. I didn't quite realize that before.
That was my point with Tesla, is what good would this be if
you did say that.
Can't get away from that in the first place?
Good point, Cameron.
Here's an interesting little note in the book. Okay. So this talks about how people working in microchip plants or in facilities that work with hardware, where when they're handling and repairing computers and electronic equipment, they have to prevent the buildup. Okay, so again, this is static electricity on the body that they're talking about, which I wasn't expecting. So here we are, Cameron, coming back to static electricity. These employees needing to discharge this static electricity so that they don't damage the very equipment they're working with has led to some of the development of these devices for earthing.
Oh, interesting.
So in factories where employees use EDS grounding systems, aka electrostatic discharge EDS grounding systems, an electrical engineer or electrician will test and verify that the electrical ground is in good working order before allowing employees to connect themselves to the system. Yeah, if we're always grounded, then how does that electrostatic build up anyway? It's from the moments that we're not grounded. or at the moments where
It's a
something else is
precaution.
interfering, i.e.,
with our grounding.
rubbing up on a carpet or materials.
Those are highly sensitive systems that one spark could ruin the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a precaution to stop that one spark from happening. If one person has static on them, this is a way to zap. Okay, you're good.
And when you're working in those conditions and you have that sensitive computer equipment that they're working on in those environments, you don't want that static electricity because it can harm those tiny, tiny circuits that they're creating. And so that's why those are there.
Do we believe this strongly translates?
I think it could. It could. If you're drawing comparison between that and
Right, okay.
cells, well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So I guess your point, Abby, is that you're trying to say that we're not always grounded.
Yeah, it
Is that what you're
sounds
trying to say?
sounds like as much as Tesla maybe struggled to unground something, there's plenty of evidence around us that we do become ungrounded and build up these negative charges that can be damaging. And we need some way.
Maybe not consistently enough to draw power from the sky. Yeah, okay. And to your point too, like, so if you're talking about cells as the super sensitive circuitry, maybe you want to limit that to as few instances of being ungrounded as possible. That's why you would sleep on a grounded bed. But to that point, why wouldn't you
spend less time wearing clothing?
Or maybe don't put your bed upstairs.
Well, some people can't help
but
that.
you know, yeah, our environment is not always up to us. It's not always within our control. So yeah, I mean, I say if it's something you want to try, go for it. It's not going to hurt you. But is there strong evidence that it's actually going to do anything for you? Not really. And there's other ways to get the benefit.
In the research that I was looking at, or the article, one of the articles I was looking at, the gentleman that was writing the article is the one that also did all the studies. And is the same one that's also trying to sell these products, which is very.
That's a conflict.
It is a little bit of a conflict, but you know there are companies out there that will pay to have third party research done to support their product. They don't do the research themselves, but they pay somebody else to do the research for them to be able to say, oh, look at the research. But they also need to qualify that and say, oh, we paid for this study to do this, and we continue to pay for the study to do this so that we know that our products are good.
Mm-hmm.
This entire episode has been such a far cry from our other ones, though.
It's true.
Why? Tell me.
It's very much like, okay, well, the science says this. Here's what we know.
So,
well, because I just personally I do think there's a spiritual element to it. I think it's the connection to the living things in the soil, and I don't know that you can. It feels very sterile.
But we haven't really talked about that. Is what I think. Did we?
Oh,
we did a little
we didn't
bit.
explore
we
the
didn't
spiritual
really
side.
Explore
I mean,
the
we're
spiritual side because
we're purely talking about grounding.
What are spirits made of if they're not electrical impulses?
Yeah, I wanted to actually hear what you thought about that. Good point, JT. Thank you.
Right. So, because if you're grounding metaphysically, isn't there energies in that metaphysical grounded? Like we did, and this is just a plug to the short the short podcast that's going to be coming out, which we did the mini that's going to come out. We did a grounding episode, and if you haven't listened to that, please do and maybe participate. That was not a physical grounding, but yet we grounded. But it was all it was all in our mind. It was all the energy that happens, because we know that the impulses in our brain when we think, that's actual energy being transferred in our nervous systems. But it's also connected to other energies outside of that whole system that is our body. Where does that come in? Where does that take into that energy?
Well, I think for me, in my own mind, there is such a clear distinction between earthing, physical grounding, and spiritual grounding.
Okay.
That the three different things are very, very different. So if we're talking about earthing, to me, we're talking about these weird I don't want to say weird, these products, these things where you're actually physically connecting a copper wire to the ground, to your bed somehow, some way, or to whatever you're interacting with in your own personal environment. Do I feel like you could energetically connect to the earth? Yeah, but then that's not physical earthing then because earthing is supposedly a physical phenomenon that physically impacts your actual physical electrical system, right?
Mhm.
If we're talking about a spiritual thing, that's different. You don't need the copper cord.
No,
That's useless. You
because
don't need it.
I believe with the stones that I have in my house, like the selenite, I don't believe that there's an actual physical electrical impulse. It's a spiritual electrical impulse that I am transferring from, that I am getting. It's taking the energies of emotions and taking that, trapping that, or that there's a transfer of that that energy. And because I believe that emotions are also energies as well, and that's what we can feel when we feel these spirits around us, or anything. And then there's ghost hunters that can detect spirits with energetic devices that detect energy. So
could we just rewind for a second, though? Okay, so Mandy was on a little like rant for a second about how she thinks grounding, earthing, and metaphysical grounding are three different things. Okay.
Yeah.
And so so in your mind, earthing is just this product schlepping where people connect
it's
electrically.
earthing is the notion where you improve your physical electrical system.
Okay.
To me.
So
That's
and
what
then
earthing means.
grounding is the part where you can go step out on the ground barefoot.
Physical grounding is where you step out onto the ground barefoot. And to me personally, the money shot is when I combined the physical grounding with the mental, emotional grounding.
Okay.
So
I'm going to go ahead and say
connecting-
that's semantics. I'm going to say some.
You think so?
I think honest.
Sounds like we need to take back grounding and earthing. We need to take back earthing and then put the other one to grounding.
Yeah, and just say beware of the money, the snake oil sellers. To me, I think that there are honest people who believe in earthing, and 100% the earthing and the grounding, it's all just, those are just misnomers that mean the same thing. And perhaps those people don't put stock at all in the metaphysical grounding part of it, right? I mean, I think out of fairness to some of those people, we can go ahead and say that grounding and earthing are the same thing, but beware these products that are being sold.
I can see a world in which a person who doesn't believe in the spiritual or spirit sets an intention for themselves. This copper cord is going to help me feel better. It's going to connect me to the earth and I am going to feel better. And they're setting an intention. And then because they've set the intention, in some way that does manifest for them. And whether or not they want to recognize that was a spiritual, energetic, mental thing. Do I think that physically? I don't know. There just aren't studies enough out there to show. And I personally have never done earthing in this way using these products. So maybe I'm not a good person to ask. I don't think that the benefit that people are seeking probably, I think that there's a stronger argument in favor that the benefit that people are claiming comes from this earthing stuff with these copper cords is actually better attributable to what's actually in the soil.
Okay.
Can you, I just feel like you just don't need that stuff. You don't need it. But unless you're in a weird situation environmentally where you are really disconnected. What if you live in a crazy house situation where it's some kind of like apartment complex and you don't have a soil, you don't have the ground really. What you've got is like a concrete asphalt. And you're able to find some way, like, this is my one way that I can tether to the earth, and this is going to help me feel better. Well, maybe that's okay. Maybe that is helping somebody. But
for most of these people, I think it's like sympathetic magic. I think they're putting themselves in the right mindset. Like, okay, this is what this is going to do. And so it does that for them. It's a kind of placebo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it does it for them because they think it does.
Because they set an intention and it manifested.
Mm.
Or a placebo.
To me, they don't feel like distinctive
Okay.
things. They feel like the same thing, but somebody like invented some
No.
products to go ahead and like.
I think it's different
No.
approaches for
They're
the same
very
idea.
different. No, see that no.
Well, in this book,
my
they are.
definition. Oh, for him, yeah. But for me, this is not an issue of semantics. Earthing is the use of the copper in these products for the purpose of regulating your electrical system. Physical grounding is where you go out into the sun with your feet bare, with empty
Right.
hands, and you actually
I guess,
touch the
so
dirt.
did you guys read something where there's like a misunderstanding where
you're-
people think that
Did you miss the part about the bacteria?
No, I heard that. I
Well,
get
here's
that.
the thing: is that
No,
grounding?
I don't understand.
What
No,
about
stop.
bacteria?
Everybody stop it. Stop it.
We're redefining it right here live.
Shut up. God damn it. I get a whole season of pulling your teeth to get you to talk more, and now you want to talk more? Shut up, everyone. No. I feel like I set this up, and I guess I wasn't clear enough. There is a physical thing that happens that is proven and has been well studied when you physically touch the dirt.
Okay.
That to me is physical grounding, which is different from this earthing, because they are claiming, the earthers are claiming, that it's the electrical thing that provides all of these benefits. It's that electrical grounding that they, grounding, quote unquote, where you're neutralizing your electrons and making yourself more even, that provide these physical benefits. It has already been proven.
No. Hold on
See,
a
well,
second.
that's where you're
Physically-
redefining
No,
it.
hold on a second. Okay. So then your definition of grounding could include when you're being in the soil and touching it and getting the soil under your fingernails and then going inside, and maybe you're washing your hands but not as well as you should be, and so those little microbiomes from the soil get into your food and you ingest them and then they do you good.
You don't have to ingest them.
They go through your skin.
There is a topical effect. You do not have to ingest them. Grounding
and they
is
seep into your skin.
spending an amount of time, that's correct, is spending an amount of time out on the dirt.
Right. Well, okay. So I don't need you to repeat the whole spiel about it, because you did say all that before and I heard it, but I just didn't understand. So as far as I'm aware, like, my assumption has always been that that's because you're inhaling or ingesting it. It's not just because you're working and touching the soil, that it's very different from standing there.
Well, I do think it's because you're inhaling it too. The smell of soil is very distinctive.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. We don't know that. We don't know. But there is a difference for me between earthing, which is about this electrical thing.
Play this back, because you just did it again. You just keep swapping the terms, and that's what's getting her confused.
Me?
Earthing.
I said
when you started this episode,
earthing is the
it
electrical
was
thing.
about grounding, and that's where we started. But then
because it's those
midway
terms
through,
are used interchangeably, and somebody said, Mandy, I don't understand why,
I'm not
like, blah,
confused.
blah, blah. And I'm trying to
I
say,
understand what you're saying, and I disagree with it. I don't think that it's fair to the people who do believe in it. It seems very clear to me that they are one thing to them. I think the point you're trying to make is that, as far as you're concerned and your opinion about it, is that they should be separately characterized in XYZ way.
Right. And I think that doesn't matter as much. Earthing and grounding, same thing, interchangeable for them. I think that unfairly, earthing is taking credit for the benefits of what's happening in the soil.
Okay.
That's my opinion. And that's why I can say, in my mind, they are very strongly differentiated.
Okay.
That there is this earthing thing, which they use interchangeably with grounding, but it is different. And then there's physical grounding, what you do when you go out and you expose yourself to what's in the soil, either because you're accidentally eating it or because it's a topical interaction somehow with the bacteria through your skin, or because you're inhaling it. And then there's a metaphysical piece that is the spiritual piece. And you can do that with or without a cord or a wire, and with or without physically touching the soil. I think that is where I'm at with it. So that's why this episode is so weird, because we're talking mostly about the physical piece. Do I think there's also a spiritual piece? Yes, 100%, absolutely. But that's not what the debate is right now. Like, the idea is earthing. Does it help improve your electrical and cause all of these wonderful benefits for you? Personally, no, I don't think so.
And if it hasn't been getting to her, it's been getting to me, is the fact that these terms are all interchangeable. So half the time I think you're talking about one thing and you're talking about the other. So earthing and grounding, let's just call...
two different things for me.
Yeah, and they should be. Because grounding is what Steve does.
Yeah.
Earthing is when you touch the soil.
No.
We can call it earthing grounding when you decide to put a wire through your house to ground your bed.
And that part is semantics, because for me, I've got
that is semantics, and
I've got those the opposite way. So whatever. But it's about the soil versus the wire, right? For me.
And I agree with Mandy on everything except for the semantics of the issue.
Which one should be named?
So, to be fair, though, if you guys remember, part of the reason why we segued into earthing was because in our protections episode, you talked about grounding as a very spiritual protective measure. So we do feel like at length you did discuss it. If you feel like there's anything you need to add to tie the two together right now,
I would offer a clarification. Okay. I did not mean this. I did not mean earthing, using a wire cord to connect your environment to the soil. I did mean physically touching dirt, doing a walking meditation. I did mean grounding in a metaphysical way. Grounding yourself, taking yourself out of anxiety. So like metaphysically, what does it mean to be grounded? Well, metaphysically, it means that I am not out here outside of my body, focused on the future, focused on the past, focused on the things that I'm afraid of. To be grounded means that I am here 100% in the present with my feet on the ground, focused on what's right in front of me. That's what it means to be grounded, metaphysically, spiritually. It means to be fully, truly connected with your spirit energies and your inner power. So to clarify that, these are very different things for me. And what I meant in that episode, that kind of grounding, was not this kind of grounding. Not this earthing thing.
Earthing, right. Okay.
Does that, are we all on?
Well, yes. And so that explains, though, then now that you've been able to make this piece, why it's been so important for you to differentiate between what you consider to be true grounding and versus this earthing. Maybe it's a farce or whatever phenomenon.
I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. I don't want to invalidate somebody's experience. Maybe it does work for them. I don't know it. I've never tried it. It seems unnecessary to me. And there's not good science. Like there hasn't been any studies on it. So I don't know. And this is a thing that should be easily studied. Mm-hmm. I feel like.
And there's nothing wrong with you thinking that it's a load of crap. Because there's people that think that the way you ground is a load of crap.
And that's fine.
Well, those people are idiots. Just kidding.
Yeah, they're lost.
No, I'm just trying to quantify that, we can all think our own way. Like to me, when I think of grounding, I'm thinking of the metaphysical, the spiritual, the taking my emotions, my energies, my different chakras and making sure they're all in sync. I'm grounding. I'm making sure that I'm getting the right energies from, and I don't have to be physically connected to the earth to do that. It helps, but I don't have to be physically connected for that type of grounding to happen. It happened when we were recording this mini episode with Amanda today about doing a sort of grounding. We were imagining touching the earth, and it was like we were touching the earth, like we were touching the magma down below the crust of the earth. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, then listen to that, and it's really could be beneficial to you.
It's a wonderful episode.
It's a great episode.
Thank you, Cameron.
To me, like going out and touching the dirt, this earthing is a new term to me that, okay, so for me to get some more health benefits, I can just go out and walk around in the dirt with my bare feet, and that's going to be good for me. I've already had the experience of being out gardening and touching the earth and knowing that that's another way of quote unquote grounding, because I'm physically in contact with dirt. Mm-hmm. So whether that has to do with bacteria or not, or whether I'm connecting with the earth spirit, if you believe in that, that's a whole nother or that's part of the grounding that I would believe in.
Well, it's a big part of internet rhetoric that people should go touch grass, right? Whenever they have their panties in a twist, or they're being a Karen about something, or they're overthinking anything, it's go touch grass, right?
Get in touch with reality.
Yes, well, right. Yeah. Or go get grounded. Go take a minute and just relax and reevaluate and be present and work on yourself.
You know, Abby, though, it's funny. Some of the points that you made actually kind of convinced me about the electrical grounding aspect of it.
Yes.
Yeah, because when you were talking about the microcircuits and how they have people that will go through and use these products that will ground them before they have to deal with these products, it does bring an idea that we are also these microcircuitries that maybe need to be corrected more often than we are.
Yeah.
We manage to get ourselves disconnected just enough to where that actually does become a problem. Sure, we do reground ourselves constantly by walking around and just being alive, but maybe that extra little bit sort of helps us self-correct in a way.
I mean, I'm open to it. I think my issue is that this is described as a physical phenomenon with physical benefit and a physical impact. Therefore, in my opinion, this should be studyable. Like, this should be subject to multiple good, decent scientific studies which can show yes or no, this is what it does, and this is how it does it, or this is how it doesn't do it. But there isn't enough of that is not biased.
So
or
let me ask this question real quick. So when you go outside and you stand in the sun, it's been scientifically proven that your body creates.
Did you just shake your head? No, I don't do that.
Vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
It activates vitamin D in your body, correct?
Correct.
You've heard that?
I have to take supplements, but yes. No.
I'm not surprised. See my shocked face.
Because you don't go out in the sun very much, is that why?
Not since I was a child.
They're saying that this earthing is thinking of it as vitamin G, electrical nutrition. So you're saying, if I'm correct, man, that there should be studies on this, that they can actually take this and study the human body, that if people stay grounded. So if somebody that goes out into the forests and sleeps on the ground and is in the forest for 30 days will have improved health benefits.
I'm saying if the impact and the mechanism is supposedly purely physical or electrical, both of which can be studied, then that should be able to stand up to scientific inquiry. The studies that exist currently are not great and or have conflicts, so it's hard to be able to take those seriously. So a guy from sciencebasedmedicine.org, and it might be a woman, I actually don't know, a person from sciencebasedmedicine.org writes an article exploring issues and controversies in science and medicine, and this is about earthing. Actually, it doesn't. Oh, earthing update. Earthing is yet another dubious medical claim exploiting weaknesses in the system. He talks a lot about how it's pseudoscience and blah, blah, blah. He says the last 10 years of published clinical studies have been entirely unimpressive. Studies generally have small numbers of participants, so maybe like a dozen, focus on subjective outcomes, which usually measure things like pain, well-being, and stress, things that are not as easily measurable. They're not objective, and are also poorly controlled. Never do we see all features of a rigor simultaneously. What they do, very much like acupuncture, is allow proponents to claim that there is a scientific, even double-blind evidence to support their claims, but each individual study does not survive scrutiny. And he links a particular study. In this study, for example, they used a quote-unquote wedge design in which all subjects received the same pattern of treatment. So a placebo on some days and then treatment on others without variation. He says, I don't know how this can actually be a double-blind study, and that's true, it can't if they're both getting both parts of the treatment. They didn't even mix it up to make sure it wasn't an artifact of timing. If you look at the data, the results are all over the place, with many outcomes not statistically significant. They are just cherry-picking apparently positive outcomes while not properly adjusting the statistics for multiple outcomes. And the number of participants was 16. So we would expect a lot of quirky results. another pattern apparent is that most of these research is published in alternative medicine journals, and he puts that in quote, or predatory journals or other low-impact journals. This allows for the creation of the illusion of scientific support without ever crossing the threshold of scientific legitimacy. And he actually uses this as an example of what's wrong with biomedical publishing, is that you can have people publish in all these studies, but when you get to the meat of what the studies are, they're not actually that great.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah. Okay, so I think this has been a really lively and spirited discussion. Cameron, just so you know, I am actually delighted that you're talking more.
Yeah.
It does make me feel good. I just
This is a
wish you'd
good
let
one.
me finish my fucking point. That's all.
It's okay.
Oh,
I'll shut up.
come
I won't
on.
speak again.
She did
No,
fine.
that's bullshit. You'll speak again when you.
I want you to talk all the time. Just, let me finish.
No, I think you did great.
Just not during the show.
Well, this took a weird, wild turn than what I thought it would take, and it was a lot longer discussion than I thought it was going to be.
Cameron, did I hurt your feelings? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
No, I was joking about not talking. Okay. I'm gonna steamroll all of you forever.
Sweet.
All right. So this was a really cool discussion. Very cool. So I think we all arrived at kind of the same place with it, mostly.
No, because remember, Abby cheered me on when I said that I changed my mind about the one thing.
So we're split.
And you still don't believe that thing.
No.
So we're kind of split on this.
So we should all go get a bunch of copper wire, throw it in the ground, and pipe it to our bedroom. And
I would, we should try it.
It's not a bad idea in Arizona,
It's not like we have a lot
we
of
haven't
lightning
had
storms.
lightning storms.
Yeah.
True.
Exactly.
True.
Join us next time on another episode of
The Wandering
Crow.
Woo! Thanks, Abby. I don't know what the fuck I was doing.
Saving the day.
All right, cue the music.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this one. Boom.